fans, and welcome to another edition of the Piledriver Weekly. My name is Electric Eric Davidson, and this is my co-host, Mr. Ace Larson. We're going to get the show kicked off as usual with OVW this week. The Coalition comes out first thing, and Jason Wayne talks about Hayes abusing his power, compares him to Castro, Hitler, Saddam Hussein, some of the great dictators of all time. And then he says Hayes is jealous of himself, and then he mentions the fact that Jack Black is not with the Coalition, and they say he's been a casualty of war. Then we get a match between Joe Coleman of the Coalition and Elvis Pridemore. Coleman is dominating here. Then out of nowhere, Jay Bradley comes in and clotheslines Coleman. I guess getting a little bit of payback for last week when they jumped him backstage there. Of course, this gets Elvis DQ'd, so Coleman gets the win. Then Bradley basically challenges the entire Coalition, says he'll take on anybody from the Coalition. Hayes comes out and says that that's what he wanted to see out of Jay Bradley. And if he wants one of the members of the Coalition, he's got it. And actually, he sets up a tag team match between the Coalition and Bradley and whoever he can find, I guess, to be his partner. So once again, Bradley is searching for a tag team partner. Then we get the not so lovely Lila versus Epiphany, and we have ladies champion Trina on commentary for this match. The match doesn't last very long. Epiphany squashes Lila, gets the victory there, and they're going to be facing off in a rematch at Saturday Night Special, which we will cover next here right after this. Then we see Rockstar Spud approach Randy Royal backstage. And basically, if you've been watching the show, you know what's been going on there. And, Randy basically tells him that it's not personal. It's just he has to have that belt and that money. Then we get the Mobile Homers backstage. They're approached by Heidi, who is looking for Taylor. And then the Mobile Homers each offer to tag with Bradley. He turns them both down. And then we get Jay Best of Joe Rose's Entourage versus King Mo, the MMA guy from Bellator. Mo wins by submission. Not really much of a match there. Then Jamin Olivenzia, the current OVW champion, cuts a promo on Doug Williams and their upcoming match at Saturday Night Special. And of course, this is the show that aired Saturday morning of the special. So the special was later that night. Like I said, we're going to cover that here in a second. Then Randy Royal versus Spud for the TV title. It was a pretty good match. Spud rolls up Randy for the win, and of course Randy Royal says he owes him another shot, and Rockstar Spud gets on the mic, says, I'm a fighting champion. If you want another shot, you got it at the special. So that's another match lined up there for SNS. Then we get our good friend Ryan Howe backstage. He offers to be Jay Bradley's partner, and for some reason, Jay Bradley kind of scoffs and's like, no. Yeah, like, what, Ryan's not good enough to be your partner or something? I think Ryan could out-wrestle Jay Bradley any day, personally. Then we have a match between Jesse Goddard and Sam Shaw. It's a decent match. Sam Shaw's pretty impressive. He's a good, young, athletic guy in the ring. Pretty fluent. Shaw gets the win here. Then we see Doug Williams. He cuts a promo on Jamin and Saturday Night Special. Then Heidi Lovelace is out to the ring, and she's kind of getting all psycho obsessed with Taylor Hendricks here, and she wants Taylor to come out to the ring and tell her how she feels about all this. And Taylor comes out and tells Heidi, you know, before she can give her an answer, she has a couple of questions and, you know, asks her about sending the gifts and all that stuff. Then out comes Dylan Bostic, Taylor's boyfriend, and he basically tries to hook up with both girls.
I would too.
Taylor kind of takes offense to this and knocks him down, and he grabs Taylor, and out comes Ryan Howe to make the save. You know, I guess he didn't, even though he's not interested in Taylor, he still doesn't like seeing a guy put his hands on a lady. Of course, I don't know if I call Taylor a lady, but
I know a few women like that.
Then we see another backstage. Rudy Switchblade offers to be Bradley's partner, and once again he declines. Then Director of Operations Michael Hayes comes up and finally tells Bradley, look, you have to have a partner, and here's who it's going to be, and it's Rob Terry. Rob Terry steps into the picture. So, you know, pretty good partner to have there. Then we get Raul Lamada and Shiloh Jones from the Coalition. This is the big tag team match with Jay Bradley and Rob Terry. Jay Bradley doesn't act real thrilled that he, you know, had to have a partner there, but they actually worked together pretty good there for a minute. And then Rob Terry takes off after the Gilly Man, and the rest of the Coalition comes in and takes out Bradley. They get DQ'd, but, you know, like they really care. Then Sam Shaw comes out to help. He gets beat down. Then Hayes comes out, and, you know, he's real emotional here. Really, and he gets in Jason Wayne's face in particular, and he's like, you know, man, you were a Marine, and you know, you're out here pulling this crap. You should be basically, you know, ashamed of yourself. You make me sick. And and they, of course, they jump Hayes and beat him half to death, and then Rob Terry finally comes out for the save, and they, you know, they say that Michael Hayes was going to be the special guest referee for the grudge match between Jason Wayne and Sam Shaw at the Saturday Night Special, which we are going to review next, because that is it for the weekly episode of OVW. Now, fortunately, this month I was able to go to the Saturday Night Special. I was able to attend, and it had a real big event kind of feel. The place was sold out. You couldn't get another person in there with a shoehorn, man. The place was packed. They actually had to add a couple rows of chairs and stuff in front of us. But a real exciting event. Best $12 I ever spent. But so we'll get that kicked off, and first match of the Saturday Night Special, Paradise with Mr. Marvelous Melvin Maximus. And if you haven't seen this guy, man, he's like one of those, like, freakishly, he looks, what he looks like is like in the old cartoons, like the muscle weightlifter guys, that's what he looks like.
Big guy.
Yeah, he you know, not somebody you want to mess with. So he's accompanying Paradise to the ring, and then Paradise is taking out Eddie Diamond, who is accompanied by Tommy Danger. Not a real long match here. It was pretty good though. Paradise gets the pin with a handful of tights after the distraction by Mr. Marvelous there. Then we go on to a 6-man tag match. Mr. Marvelous is a member of the 6-man team here. It's Mr. Marvelous, Elvis Pridemore, and Body Guy versus the Marksman Nick Dumeyer and Lambda the Baxters, the Urkel guys. The Marksman and Baxters get the win here. And Elvis Pridemore and Nick Dumeyer have been tagging off and on for quite a while now. And they shook hands before the match, and then after the match, the marksman offers a handshake again, and Elvis brushes him off, and he's kind of a little upset there. So maybe there's trouble brewing between those two guys. Then we have the women's title match, Epiphany versus Trina. I hate to say it, but it wasn't a very good match. Trina, she's got a great look, but you can tell she's still, not real seasoned in the ring. Still kind of stiff, not real
fluent.
Yeah, you can tell she's still got some work to do. But she wins the match, retains the belt here. Then we get Mr. Wrestling himself, Nick Dinsmore.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Always enjoy seeing Nick Dinsmore.
Yeah. Boy, he was wasted, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the whole Eugene thing. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Nick Dinsmore was Eugene in the WWE. But before that and since that, I mean, Nick Dinsmore's possibly the best ever guy to come through OVW.
And another guy, Rob Conway, he's another one that WWE threw away. That was a big OVW guy at that same time.
Conway's wrestling over in Japan now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, sure is. Nick Dinsmore, and he's playing the heel here, and his tag team partner here is Ram Jam Jonathan Ramser, and Jonathan is completely deaf.
Legitimately?
Yeah, legit.
Oh, okay.
It's not a storyline. He's deaf. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if they were like friends of his or from a club he's a part of or something, or maybe it's just a coincidence. But there was an entire section like right behind us
for him
of deaf people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were there, and
cool.
You can see them all signing and. Like I said, I don't know if they were there for him or not, or if it was just a coincidence, but yeah, about 20 of them right behind us. Anyhow, they're taking on the Pastor of Disaster, Stuart Miles, and Primetime Robbie Walker. And I tell you what, this Walker kid, the crowd is really into him. They've got their own chant for him and everything. Like,
is he a young cat?
Yeah, he's real young, but he's real good for his age and the amount of time he's been there. He needs to work a little bit on that drop kick, but other than that, he looked really good. He's kind of puny, but he could bulk up. And like I said, the crowd's really into this Robbie Walker guy, and it could be just because he's usually the underdog or whatever. But he's primetime Robbie Walker, and like every so often, somebody will just randomly stand up in the crowd and say, "What time is it? It's prime time," So they like the kid, and he was fun to watch. But Nick Dinsmore is kind of really being mean to Ram Jam the whole time, and just bossing him around, and of course then he gets a bag of powder, and he's gonna use the powder and throw it in one of their faces, and Ram Jam decides he doesn't like that. So, he stops Dinsmore from using the powder, and then Stuart Miles comes over and smacks his hand, and it ends up in Dinsmore's face, and Robbie Walker rolls him up for the pin. So Walker Miles get the win there, and then after the match, as Ram Jam's leaving, they, wave him to come back into the ring, and they all, hold up their hands and celebrate together, which I thought that was a nice gesture. So I guess that was Ram Jam's face turn there. But then the one of them I was really looking forward to, we got a grudge match between Ryan Howe,
our good friend,
and Dylan Bostic. And man, these guys, this match was just so fast. Boom, 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 boom. Both these guys are so quick and athletic. And like you said, Ryan, a good friend of ours, and
good match.
Yeah, real good match. But so they were so fast. But Ryan does this springboard, kind of reverse splash off the top rope, and I I've always enjoyed watching him wrestle. Even before, we became acquainted, I was always a fan of Ryan's. And he gets the win here. And I don't know if that's like the kiss off to their feud or what, but well, that remains to be seen. But yeah, Ryan gets a big win at the Saturday Night Special. Way to go, Ryan. And then up next, we got a 6-man tag. Raul, Joe Coleman, and Shiloh Jones of the Coalition versus Rudy Switchblade and the Mobile Homers. Pretty good match here. Entertaining. Rudy's another guy who's, why he hasn't been scooped up by one, either WWE or TNA, especially since, TNA is affiliated with OVW now. I don't know, because Rudy's just really good in the ring. He's got charisma, but Raul LaMotta pins Rudy here with an assist from the Gilly Man and Jason Wayne. He was about to hit one of the guys in the corner there, and Gilly shoved him out of the way, and then Wayne held his legs. But anyhow, then we get a rematch between the VIP Joe Rosa and King Mo of MMA Bellator. This match was over in the blink of an eye, and King Mo wins by submission here, and then he knocks out Joe Rosa's entire entourage, leaves him laying flat in the ring. Nothing against King Mo here, and he's a good MMA fighter, but he's not a good wrestler. And I was under the impression he had a wrestling background. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just the fact they're trying to just kind of...
Well, wrestling background and then doing it every day, week in and week out.
True. But I think they're also kind of wanting to keep him in that MMA mode. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not wanting him to really do, like, collegiate-style wrestling or Greco-Roman, whatever you want to call it.
Like what they did with Shamrock years ago in WWF.
Right.
Which kind of really didn't work. You know what I mean?
No. It did to a point, I guess. Yeah. Shamrock had a pretty good fan base.
He wasn't really that bad.
He wasn't bad
from a professional wrestling standpoint.
But nonetheless, King Mo, gets the win here, and I think it's a good cross promotion deal, I guess. But anyhow, then we get the rematch for the TV title. Rockstar Spud defending against Randy Royal, which. And here again, nothing against Spud, but man, the only rock star in OVW is Ryan Howe, man. But anyway, Spud defending against Randy Royal, and finally Royal gets the win here with an assist from Tony Gunn, and we have a new TV champ. So congratulations to Randy. Then the OVW heavyweight title match. Jamin Olivencia defends against Doug Williams, and man,
you were really impressed with this match.
I was. It was a great match. These guys just put it all out there, and just a lot of near falls, and just really, really, really good match. And I've never been a Jamin Olivencia fan. I always. I've seen him wrestle 100 times, and I always knew he could wrestle. Never cared for his gimmick or character too much, whatever you want to call it. But I tell you what, he made a fan of me at the Saturday Night Special. I have a whole new respect for Jamin Olivencia. These two just put on a hell of a match. It was really... It was reminiscent of a lot of the Ring of Honor matches. And, that's nothing against OVW. I love OVW. They're our home team. But Ring of Honor has those intense matches, and it put me in mind of that. And but when it's all said and done, Jamin retains. And the real surprising thing here is after the match, Williams offers a handshake, and they shake hands. Nothing crooked or nothing. So that was nice to see the display of sportsmanship there. I guess. he gained Doug Williams' respect as well. So then we have, and at this point, I think a lot of people thought since, well, that was the title match, it's over.
Yeah.
We had one more match to go, and actually ended up being two more matches. We have a grudge match between Wayne and Shaw. It was supposed to be Michael Hayes as the special referee, but they had announced earlier in the show that because of what happened on the TV taping, that he wasn't going to be able to be there. Wayne gets DQ'd here after the Coalition interferes, and then out comes Michael Hayes, and he's just pumped, man. And we get an impromptu match between Hayes and Shiloh. Hayes challenged Wayne. He challenged Jason Wayne, but Jason Wayne says, well, the Geneva Convention states that a soldier can't go into battle twice in one day.
Oh, my God.
So he makes Shiloh wrestle him, but Shiloh had already wrestled earlier on the card, too. So I guess that was just an oversight or whatever. But anyhow, and man, you talk about a hot crowd, man. This crowd, they love Michael Hayes, and for good reason. Mm-hmm. You can't help but like Michael Hayes.
Let me ask you a serious question. Was this show that you witnessed from OVW better than the last WWE pay-per-view as a whole?
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot more, yeah.
That says a lot.
And that may be because I was there. Being there does make a difference.
Right, yeah.
And, it's a different setting. The Davis Arena holds 500 people tops. And, it's a much more intimate setting than when you're in a stadium that holds 20,000 people rather than 500. And OVW, that's one, they're really good at making you feel like a part of the show.
Yeah.
And you can tell they really, really appreciate their fans. They just thank you over and over again for coming out and everything.
Yeah. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, and during intermission, the wrestlers, they'll come out and talk to you and sign whatever and take pictures with you, whatever you want to do. And,
great show.
Yeah, but for $12, which, their TV tapings are only $5, but their Saturday night specials once a month are a little bit more, and totally worth it, man. $12 as opposed to $40 or $50 for a pay-per-view.
I mean, do you ever notice with WWE, it's like you're holding on to your wallet, you're like, oh no, it's just, and there's a Ring of Honor, it's like, I just want to throw money at you.
Yeah.
I mean, here, take my money.
You didn't charge me enough. Here. All in all, a great, really enjoyable Saturday night special, and I'm going to try my best to make it to the Saturday night specials every month, so I can cover them for the show.
Hopefully, I'll accompany you to the next one.
That would be great. But that does it for OVW. Don't forget, they do their TV tapings every Wednesday at the Davis Arena, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. $5 to get in. Bell time 7 o'clock. Doors open at 6:30, I think. And you can catch them every Saturday at noon on WBNA 21, the Ion Network, or online at ovwrestling.com. And normally we would move on to Ring of Honor at this point, but there was no Ring of Honor show this week, basically because all they did was recap the Border Wars pay-per-view and showed 3 matches from that. So we've already covered that. So now we're just going to go
to
Impact. Which I have to say I've been enjoying Impact a lot more. So time for Impact, and this week Impact is emanating from Tupelo, Mississippi, and it opens with recaps, reviews. Not even going to go into that. Then we get Sting and Kurt Angle come out to the ring. Excuse me. Sting cuts a promo on Bully and the Aces and Eights. Angle talks about beating D'Lo, and then he calls out AJ Styles to get his answer about teaming with him, all that. Styles comes out And Angle just asking point like, hey, look, I'm sick of this. We want to know, are you against us? Are you with us? What's the deal? And he says he's tired of asking. So he basically demands an answer. Then Sting says, let me try this. And Sting tells AJ, he's been in his shoes, which I've been comparing those two for weeks now, as far as that angle goes.
Right.
He refers to the whole Crow gimmick, and,
He actually brought it up?
Yeah, he's like, I've been where you're at, I got pissed off at everybody, and I spent, almost a whole year up in the rafters just, pouting or whatever he called it. Just lurking in the shadows, and Sting basically says, look, man, we need you, and he offers to shake his hand, and then AJ just kind of stands there, and then, of course, Angle gets impatient. He's like, I'm tired of this, and he's like, you're either with us or against us, and that's that. And, AJ just goes to leave. Angle follows him up the ramp, and they start duking it out. And then, meanwhile, the Aces and Eights sneak into the ring and take Sting out with a 3D. And then we see AJ storming out of the building. It's just a mess. And then we go to a women's tag team match. Gail and Tara against Mickey and Velvet.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Hot. And Velvet's still nursing that knee injury. And but she manages to get the pin on Tara here for the victory. And then afterwards, Gail just goes psycho and jumps Tara and does that leg lock around the ring post on her.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're not friends anymore.
It's over. Delete my number.
And then they announced that Impact will be going back to a 9 o'clock start time, beginning May 30th. Not sure the reason for the change there. I don't know if that's going to be better or not. I don't know.
I like the 8 o'clock start time.
I kind of did too. Not that it really matters too much to me now because I typically DVR it and watch it later anyhow. Then we have the Aces and Eights backstage, and Bully tells D'Lo they have some club business to tend to in the ring, and then we see Bad Influence backstage, and they bring James Storm a 6-pack.
Hell yes.
And apologize to him, and then try to recruit him.
I love those guys.
Yeah, they're hilarious, man.
They really are.
And then, of course, the Aces and Eights are out to the ring. Bully gets on the mic. He plugs the 6-man tag for later. Then he points out D'Lo, and he tells him to turn in his colors. And D'Lo refuses at first, so they just basically yank him off of him. You figure a beatdown's coming, but surprisingly it doesn't. They basically...
No beatdown.
Yeah, they leave it open for him to, re-earn his colors. So we'll see what happens with that. Then we get Magnus versus Doc of the Aces and Eights, with D'Lo watching from ringside, and D'Lo tries to help Doc out, but he accidentally trips him. He thought he was going to trip Magnus, but he trips Doc instead. So he's just digging his hole deeper. That allows Magnus to get the pin. Then backstage, we see the Aces and Eights demote D'Lo to a prospect. Yeah, Bully at first wanted to smash his head in with a hammer, but Anderson kind of took mercy on him and was like, hey, I got a better idea. Let's just make him our bitch, basically. So now he's got to get their beers for him and wash their bikes and all that stuff. Yeah. You gotta admit, it's kind of funny,
yeah,
man.
But that's a little silly.
It is. It's silly, but I guess if you get down to it, wrestling itself is a little bit silly at times, anyway. Then Rude and Aries are backstage trying to BS Storm. trying to suck up to him because he's the special referee tonight for their match.
Right.
That's what's going on there. It's funny because like as they're walking up, you could hear Aries and Rude like quietly discussing something, and Rude's like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to. He's like, just say it. You don't have to mean it. Just say it. So Rude walks up to James Storm. And he's like, I'm sorry, I hit you with a beer bottle to win the world title, and that's the only reason I won. Like, I was always jealous of you, okay? Just totally insincere, like a little kid being forced to apologize for something.
Looks like everybody was sharing six-packs.
Yeah. So then we get to the top contenders match. Rude, Aries versus Kazarian and Daniels. The winners to get a shot down the road at the tag titles held by Chavo and Hernandez. James Storm, special guest referee. Good match here. Storm gets pissed off at Aries eventually, and he tries to give him the last call, but he accidentally catches Daniels with it instead. And so then he starts to make the count, but then he just stands up, and Daniels is like, what? So he does the last call on Daniels too and just walks away. So to me, that's probably setting up a three-way match for the title between these teams.
It would be good.
Would be my guess. Yeah, it'd be pretty good. And I noticed Storm seemed to be kind of moving slow in the ring. I guess he must have some nagging injuries or something, or one injury in particular, because he wasn't getting around very well. And then we go to the Aces and Ace backstage beating the crap out of Magnus, which I accidentally skipped over a part here. There's a reason for that. Somehow I missed this. Sting and Angle had told Hogan that they wanted Magnus as their third guy. And Hogan said he had a wild card up his sleeve, but it wasn't a sure thing. So
hopefully he's under 50.
Yeah, so that's the reason they're beating the crap out of Magnus. Then we see a spot for the return of Suicide. Now, Suicide was at one point played by Christopher Daniels.
Mm-hmm. Was that before or after the Curry Man?
That was after Curry Man.
Oh, that's okay.
But then I was thinking it was Kazarian after that.
The mask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Frankie Kazarian?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Or was it only him?
No, it was Daniels at first.
No, it was Kazarian. Yeah.
I think it was always intended for Kazarian.
Right.
But he got hurt.
Yeah. Yep. I remember all that now.
So who's it going to be this time? Somebody different?
Unless one of them turns on the other one or something like that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of wonder.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Am I wrong that it was Kazarian?
No,
I thought
it was Kazarian.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But anyhow, then we get a look at this. We see Bad Influence and Aries and Rude backstage. They're yelling back and forth, and James Storm is laid out, but you don't know who did it. It's kind of like one of those, whodunit kind of things. And I'm wondering if Storms is legit injured, and that's going to be a reason for him to take some time off.
Which is quite possible.
Yeah. Then we get a look at the upcoming Bound for Glory series / Gut Check, which is starting next week. They're kind of combining the two. It looks like it could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost kind of like it looks like it's kind of like almost like a tournament between like these young up and coming guys, like for trying to get a shot at the big time. Then more recaps. Then Bully with the Aces and Ace backstage again. Then we see Hogan on the phone with his wild card, and as Sting and Angle head to the ring.
It's probably Eric Bischoff.
Actually, believe it or not, I knew who it was going to be.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I called it before it happened, and I wish I'd had a witness. Because he had made a reference earlier. He's like, if I get this guy, I won't even need to do nothing, you know, or basically. And then here's what the real clue was. As the match starts, you know, it's Bully, Devon, and Anderson of the Aces and Eights against Angle and Sting. It looks like they're going to have to take him on by himself. Sting and Angle are holding their own. Of course, then the numbers catch up to them. But we see they go backstage, and you see the rest of the Aces and Eights laid out backstage. And that's when it clicked, and I knew. I was like, oh, it's going to be so-and-so. And I was right. So we see the rest of the Aces and Eights laid out backstage. And, of course, in the ring, they're still dominating Sting and Angle. Angle's getting beat down pretty good for a while. He finally gets the hot tag to Sting. Sting is taking it to them. But once again, the numbers catch up to him. And then out comes the Monster Abyss. And he takes out basically all the Aces and Eights and gets the pin. And that's basically it for Impact. I don't know how excited you're really supposed to be about Abyss.
I guess the Joseph Parks angle kind of fell flat.
Or he could do like a Mick Foley thing and keep playing both of them.
Yeah. Is he talented enough to pull it off like Foley did?
I don't know. I mean? Maybe. He could be. I mean, I think he did a pretty good job with the Joseph Park character, to be honest.
Yeah, if you just started watching, you would have never known the difference.
And now that is it for Impact, and we're going to go to SmackDown.
I'll start us off. All right, we got WWE SmackDown from the NC State Arena, PNC Arena. We start off with recaps. We saw it coming from a mile away. Then we go to the opening segment, which is Chris Jericho in the highlight reel. And his guest tonight is Ryback. And they kind of batter back and forth and kind of try to talk each other up with their egos. What do you think of this segment?
I mean...
Filler. A little bit of a filler feel.
Yeah, I mean... I don't know, you kind of saw where it was going to go.
Teddy Long comes out, he announces the match. Players tonight, the main event is going to be Chris Jericho versus Ryback. It's like, who didn't see that coming?
Yeah, and then Ryback gets the cheap shot in on him.
Then we go to Kofi Kingston versus Cody Rhodes in a non-title match. It was an okay match, a little short.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I thought they looked a bit out of sync. It wasn't a bad match.
Yeah.
But I just think these two guys together could do better. Mm-hmm. Like I said, especially Kofi in particular, I thought Kofi looked a little bit off.
Yeah. Then we go to more recaps. Now I'm going to keep track of the recaps. That's the second set of recaps. Then we go to more recaps. That's the third set of recaps. And the third set of recaps was Lesnar, Triple H, and tearing up an office and throwing a TV and who gives a shit. Then we go backstage for a Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter interview.
I liked how Coulter called Renee Young Reba.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Good old Coulter. Then we get Big E Langston versus Jack Swagger, which never really happened.
Yeah, because you had Del Rio on commentary, and before the match even starts, Del Rio throws a ladder into the ring.
And this is the segment where Ziggler gets the concussion, legitimately.
Yeah.
Gets the ladder kicked in his face. Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah. Well, actually, no, he kicked the ladder into Swagger's face.
Right.
And then when he was picking the ladder up, he got kicked in the head.
Yeah. And somehow in the midst of all that, I think they went to commercial. Maybe we got some more recaps because I got another recap segment there. The recaps, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really is. I mean, I guess some people might think it's kind of like hypocritical of us because we're a recap show. But it's... They're recapping the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. sometimes in the same night. It's like you'll see a recap 3 times. And it's like, man, I understand that the purpose they're trying to, like, hey, if you've just joined us, but typically, if you're going to watch Raw, you're going to watch the whole show.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but it gets a little ridiculous, especially on Raw.
The flagship show.
Good Lord, man. I mean, they must have had 10 recaps of the whole Triple H Lesnar thing, man.
Yeah.
But anyhow, like I said, more recaps there of...
and then everybody just kind of beats up everybody in this whole World Heavyweight title situation. Del Rio ends holding up the title on the top of the ladder to close it out. It's just kind of like... And at the time, we didn't know that Ziggler wasn't going to be in action, but we'll get to that later.
Right. Then we get Dean Ambrose versus Daniel Bryan.
I'm going to make a bold statement here after watching this match. Well, actually, during the match, I'm telling you right now, Dean Ambrose is the next big thing in WWE. If they use him correctly, this guy has got it. And he's got a lot of it, too.
I'm inclined to agree with you at the moment. Of course, you know that there's been guys before that were supposed to be the next big thing, and it fizzled out. But
a lot of it wasn't even their fault.
Right. But if things go well, and I mean, I think he's got all the tools to do it.
He can talk, he can work. And I noticed in this match, every single little action movement meant some kind of response from him in a way of telling a story. You know, I mean, just a simple, small hold or submission. He reacted in such a way when most guys would just sit there. Like, everything he did meant something.
Yeah.
And that said a lot to me, you know. And now it's getting to the point to where, like, he's bigger than the Shield itself. Like, as good as Seth Rollins, as good as he is, Reigns has still got a little bit to go. But he's, like, getting to the point now where he's almost bigger than the group.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll get to that title match he's got at Extreme Rules soon here coming up. But I got a feeling, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here could be the next breakout star of the indie scene like CM Punk was.
Could be. Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
And another thing I noticed watching Daniel Bryan wrestle about him and Kane, the tag team belts, they're the tag team champions, but their whole reign, they've never had a tag team title feud that meant anything.
They really haven't.
I mean, they're the tag team champions, but, I mean, didn't tag teams used to have feuds just like singles guys used to have feuds?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express feuded for years. But that was back when the tag team titles meant something. Of course, and it was tag titles of a different company.
Then we get the Shield, Kofi Kingston, everybody interferes. This match gets out of control, crazy. It's not really a clean finish. And it was starting to pick up, too. I thought it was.
Well, and as far as the Dean Ambrose Daniel Bryan match goes, like, man, I really wish JBL would stop using this old tired yard analogy. It's the Shield's yard. It's their yard. They rule this yard. It's their yard. It's their yard. Shut up. Yeah. I mean, I hated that term even back when The Undertaker was using it.
But these guys...
Oh, I'm the big dog in the yard. This is my yard. I hate it when football teams say, oh, they're not going to come in our yard. Screw you in your yard, man. I mean...
These guys are good enough. They speak for themselves anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I don't know, it's just...
Yeah, it is silly.
It's just stupid, man. And he makes a point to say it every time they're out. It's like, oh, this is the Shield's yard. They rule this yard. It's their yard. They took it from the Undertaker. Undertaker thought it was his yard, but it's their yard. It's their yard. Yard, 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 yard. It's like, God, give it a rest, man. I used to like JBL, but God, he's starting to get on my nerves.
More recaps. And then we get to the Mark Henry pulling 2 semis, or he pulls
first he pulls one semi.
Pull one semi, and then he's going to go for 2. Then he got primetime players, and I even saw Kurt Hawkins out there cheering him on as well.
Yeah. the guys he beats the crap out of. Then you get a recap of Henry whipping Sheamus last week.
Sheamus was beat to hell.
Yeah, and pics of Sheamus's wounds.
Yeah.
And then Henry pulling 2 semis.
We know that he's strong. Okay, we
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Then we get more recaps.
Yes.
Then we get a backstage interview with the Viper himself.
Yeah, talking about Big Show.
More recaps. Then we get Big Show versus Sweet Tea.
Yeah, Sweet Tea gets a flurry of offense in
Yeah.
there at the beginning, and
KO punch, squash,
Yeah.
it's over.
good night.
Then Show goes after Brodus Clay.
Yeah.
Orton saves the day with the best move in the wrestling industry, the RKO. I know you love that. Then we get Caitlyn and AJ backstage, and then Natalya joins in. Then Khali comes up in a Rey Mysterio mask singing Rey Mysterio's entrance song.
Even before that, it was funny how I had to laugh. AJ, when she came up, called Caitlyn man arms.
Yeah. Hey, I let those man arms wrap around me any day.
Khali undercover. Then he was Cody Rhodes after that.
Good God.
This
This guy was a former champion, don't forget, guys.
Yeah, former world champion.
Then we do Jericho versus Ryback, and I actually thought this was a pretty solid, hard-hitting match.
I thought it was boring.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it took everything I had to stay awake. It was.
Damn.
I really thought it was bad.
Shit, we're on two opposite ends of the spectrum there, aren't we?
I mean, it's not that it was real sloppy or nothing. It was just kind of boring. Like I said, it just.
I mean, there's some hard-hitting action in it, though. I mean,
I mean, sure, Ryback can slam the hell out of people, but it's like.
Sure, Jericho can make people look good.
But it's like, I don't know, man. To me, just wasn't nothing going on there.
DQ finish. Jericho wins because Ryback got DQ'd.
Yeah, and then he clotheslines him
hooks
over to
to
the announcer's table afterwards, and
That's SmackDown.
yep. And next, we're gonna move on to Monday Night Raw.
From Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then we have Jerry the King Lawler in the ring with obvious dance floor for the Fandango and Chris Jericho dance-off to kick off Raw this evening. What about this segment, sir?
Just a complete waste. I mean, I just
Fandango's dancer, Summer Rae, fakes an ankle injury
yeah.
to distract Jericho, and it turns out to be just a ruse. It's just all...
Yeah, she was fine the whole time.
Still don't know what kind of match is going to be between those two, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and then more pointless recaps.
Then Ryback versus Zack Ryder in another
Squash.
Let's
Yeah.
skip that. Then another Triple H and Lesnar recap, which is for
That
the
first of 12 that night.
yeah. Then we get Tons of Funk versus the Primetime Players. This is a barn burner here. This tore the house down.
Yeah. I like the hair pick to the throat there.
Still better than Cena.
Yeah. Primetime Players get the win. Then another recap. Stryker introduces Teddy. Teddy comes out and says Ziggler won't be medically cleared for Extreme Rules. And that was just like,
Bummer.
I know, especially for you, since you're going to be there. I'm sure you were looking forward to seeing Ziggler.
I was.
I mean, it should still be a good match. It's going to be an I Quit match between Del Rio and Swagger to determine the top contender. And at least they didn't strip Swagger.
Do you think that Big E should have fought in his place? Or should have been involved somehow in the match?
Doesn't he have his own match that night, though? Or
I don't think so.
No. No, he doesn't, does he?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
He'll
know.
be involved either way, don't you think? Don't you think he'll play a factor?
Could. I don't know. It's tough to, especially when the guy is the champion, to let somebody fill in for him. Not that it's unheard of, it's happened before. As a matter of fact, I remember a time ages ago, way back when Rick Martel was the AWA World Champion. He was unable to perform. So Michael Hayes filled in for him. And the funny thing is, I can't even remember now who he was fighting. But Michael Hayes lost. And seemingly lost the belt for Martel, but Martel got it reviewed, and since Hayes wasn't actually the champion, got his belt back. So, and there was another instance similar to that. But it escapes me at the moment. But
so now it's going to be an I Quit match between Del Rio and Swagger at Extreme
Right.
Rules for the number one contender spot.
yeah.
Which, I mean, it's kind of doesn't sound as good as the triple threat ladder match for the World Heavyweight.
No, not nearly as good, but
Then they say Big E's going to have to face Swagger or Del Rio later,
yeah.
depending on who.
And maybe that's why I was thinking he had a match in Extreme Rules. And it's whoever the fans vote for with this new WWE app, which they just push the hell out of through the whole episode.
Then we get Kofi Kingston versus Damian Sandow.
Yeah.
Non-title match.
I thought it was funny how Sandow says he's not going to do a parody of Kofi's song because Kofi's song and title reign are foolish.
Yeah. He speaks the truth.
A decent match. Kofi gets the win, which surprised me because I thought the U.S. champ was supposed to job every week on TV.
Yeah.
At least that's how it was when Cesaro had the belt.
Yeah. Then we get Mark Henry. He's going to demonstrate for us how a strap match is performed.
On Josh Matthews.
So he drags Josh Matthews around like a limp carcass throughout the whole ring, like making him look like an idiot. And then we have Sheamus coming out, and then we just get a strap fight between the two guys. They're beating the hell out of each other with straps in the middle of the ring.
They kind of look like two bitches smacking each other.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for the hair pulling to start.
Yeah.
Then yet another look at Triple H Lesnar.
And then another preview of another WWE crappy movie.
Hey, but it's starring your favorite guy, Randy Orton.
Yeah, but I'm going to buy it and watch it anyway. Then we get Antonio Cesaro versus Randy Orton, and I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to let you take this one.
Well, my first reaction is, gee, I wonder who's going to win this match. I mean, why even bother having the match? Because Cesaro always jobs and Orton never loses. They plug the WWE app yet again. Cesaro does actually get some offense in and looks half decent, but of course Orton wins with the RKO. Big shocker there. Then Heath Slater versus The Miz. What'd you think about this one?
Hey, I mean, The Miz, I don't know what the hell they're doing with him, but, always love Heath Slater. I mean, it was an okay match. I think it's kind of a slap in the face to Ric Flair for The Miz to use the figure four leg lock.
Yeah.
I mean, good God, The Miz, come on. There's not even really anybody in the WWE right now, honestly and truly, worthy of using the figure four leg lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not like, Flair invented the figure four or anything. And, yeah, it was one of his signature moves, but, I mean, lots of people use the figure four. We talked about a couple weeks ago on the show is actually Buddy Rogers who gets credit for inventing it. And I believe back then it was called the figure four grapevine, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, also like a suplex is actually called a suplex. It's is the proper
terminology.
Yeah, and I remember Gordon Soley, always stuck by that. He always called it a suplex. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, I don't have a big problem with The Miz using the figure four, but I mean, he's already made more people tap to it than Flair ever did. Flair rarely won with the figure four.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah, it was half decent. Slater did, at least he didn't get completely dominated for once.
Slater's another guy.
You still knew he was going to job, though.
Yeah. We get the race for the cure segment. And then Guess what we get? Another look at what? What's next?
Triple H Lesnar. Okay, we get it. Jeez, talk about overkill, man. Christ.
Well, you can tell when they're hurting for big stars when they have to beat us to death with certain things.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
Rock's gone, Punk's hurt, Taker's gone.
Yeah.
Fuck me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, so of course they're going to just shove Triple H down your throat.
Then we get the 6-man elimination match, which I thought was pretty early in the show.
Yeah,
we're so close to Extreme Rules and
well, and since Superman Cena is in the match, I figured for sure it would be the last match of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, man. But hey, one good thing here, they announced Rollins and Reigns versus Hell No for the tag titles
in a tornado tag match.
Yeah, Extreme Rules. That should be cool.
Yeah.
JBL's still talking about the yard. Kane gets DQ'd.
Yeah.
You know, of course, Super Cena is taking everything the Shield can dish out and keeps kicking out. I already see where this is going. Ambrose eliminates Bryan. Oh, what do you know? And here we go. It's Superman versus the Shield all by himself.
Yeah.
God, give me a break.
You think he could take on the U.S. military forces?
Oh, sure, man. Yeah, he's bulletproof, don't you know? I mean, all he's missing is the S on his chest. Cena eliminates Rollins with the AA. Then Reigns gets DQ'd for basically nothing. Just kind of brushed up against the ref. Then Cena gets Ambrose in the STF. And Reigns breaks it up. The ref calls for the bell. Cena wins by DQ. I'm surprised he won by DQ. I figured he'd just really make them all submit or pin them all.
But at least they fireball the son of a bitch afterwards.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Then out comes Ryback, and he just kind of looks at him. Then he acts like he's going to walk away. Then he comes in with a chair and hits poor little Cena's ankle.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed that. But it's like, man, really?
Can't you hear him now if he beats Ryback? And I did it on one ankle.
Yeah.
One ankle. It's all I had.
I mean,
good
crap.
God. I want to fucking puke.
Yeah, really. I mean, it took everything I had to sit through that match. It's like, because like I said, as soon as the first elimination happened, I knew exactly where it was going.
Yeah.
It's going to be Cena against the Shield, and he's going to have them all beat.
And then they all act like he can't do it. Like, can he really do this?
Yeah.
I don't know. He might be able to, but he's never been up against anything like this in his life.
Oh, come on,
it's just like,
man.
what?
I mean, it's...
He's done amazing things before, but this may be too much for him to handle. It's just like, no, it's not. He's Cena. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, really?
I finally come to the point. I'll stop watching WWE if this happens. If he ends the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania, I'm done. That's it. I quit. No more.
Well, I figure Taker's only going to do one more Mania.
But you know that who it's going to be more than likely.
I figure he's gonna do 30 because it's 30.
Yeah.
And I figured then he's probably done.
But you know it's probably going to be Cena, isn't it?
I don't know, man.
That's the only one that he hasn't, the big star that he hasn't come across in WrestleMania history. I don't know. I just got that feeling.
I don't even want to think about that.
I know, but damn it.
Yeah, I'm with you. If that happens, I will.
I'm done.
I'll never watch WWE again.
You heard it here, folks. It's over.
We'll have to cover like New Japan on the show or something, which is about the point I'm at already anyway.
Before we throw up in our mouths, let's go to the next thing. Oh God, hold it in. We got more Lesnar.
Another look at Lesnar Triple H. Then we see Stryker with Ryback backstage, and Ryback actually makes a pretty good point here.
I'm digging this Ryback. We talked about it before.
You know, he's like, look, man, I tried to be the nice guy, and it got me nowhere. You know, and so then yet another look at the Swagger Del Rio Ziggler from last week. Then we get Big E Langston versus Swagger. I tell you, man, for a guy who's green and a guy who's big, like Langston has really impressed me.
Yeah. Me too.
Because usually guys his size, especially when they're green, they're just a train wreck in the fucking ring, man. And some of them are that way their whole careers, man.
Like Batista.
Yeah, and I don't expect to see him doing, Frankensteiners off the top rope or anything, man. But I mean,
he looks pretty crisp.
Yeah. Swagger wins by count out here.
Swagger's getting old to me too.
Yeah. Del Rio runs in, but Swagger gets the best of him for a second until Ricardo throws a bucket at Swagger. Then Big E gets one more shot in. Del Rio gets the best of the situation. Yeah. Then
Miz versus Cody Rhodes for the Extreme Rules pre-show.
Yeah, that might be a good match.
But for what?
Yeah. Probably just to put Miz over even more.
Yeah, and then he'll disappear for 3 more months. Then we get AJ versus Natalya, and Bella's and Caitlyn on commentary. Nice to see Natalya wrestle.
Yeah.
For once, maybe the first time in a year.
Not so nice to see her job to AJ.
By submission.
Yeah, by submission.
Here's a woman.
What a joke, man.
She's probably got more and better submissions than half the guys on the roster.
Yeah, we're going to have her tapped at AJ. I mean, come on, man. Give me a break. I mean, really? Really? To quote The Miz, really?
Oh, my God. I can't believe that we're actually admitting that these horrible events happen. It's like you want to put them out of your mind like a traumatic rape or some horrible event in your life that's happened. You don't even want to think about it anymore. It's like we're reliving it all over again.
Then we see Jericho backstage with Stryker, and Jericho is pissed.
Well, great, but still they didn't tell us what kind of match it was going to be.
I'm sure we'll find out. Well,
midway through the Miz and Cody Rhodes pre-show match.
Yeah. Well, there's still SmackDown to go.
Yeah.
So they'll probably announce it on SmackDown.
Yeah, if Mark Henry's not going to lift a plane this time.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So, no, I mean, then finally, the long-awaited Triple H and Lesnar face-off. I mean,
what's next? They just got to have a penis-length competition?
Yeah, I mean, Triple H comes out of the ring, and then the cage comes down. Triple H talks smack, blah, 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 brag, brag, brag.
Did it feel like this went on forever?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, Triple H challenges Lesnar basically to come get it, and Lesnar comes out with Heyman, but Heyman just, talks, and he pokes fun at sports entertainment, which I did find that humorous. Yeah.
He cussed a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, as silly as this was, I am excited because I am going to be there. I'm going to be there
live
at St. Louis Extreme Rules. It's a Brock Lesnar and Triple H in a cage match. That's fucking badass.
It should be entertaining. Yeah. But
from another standpoint,
I don't have to be reminded of it 20 times in one show.
Yeah,
they shove it down your throat so much you almost just have to regurgitate it.
Yeah.
It's sure. I'd love to see the match too, but. Like I said, I don't need to hear about it 20 times in one show.
This will be the end of the feud, though.
Yeah, I would think so. It needs to be. Heyman basically says Lesnar doesn't fight for free. Triple H says it's really just that Heyman is scared, and then he goads Lesnar into coming into the cage. They duke it out. Lesnar gets in a nice German suplex, but then Triple H rams him in and out of the cage.
But Heyman and Lesnar are perfect together.
They are.
Heyman brings the best out of anybody. Especially Lesnar, who's kind of a dull anyway.
Yeah, he needs somebody to talk for him, because he kind of he doesn't have a very intimidating manly voice.
Yeah, it's like him last week. Shout out talking to that employee in the office. Sit down. But overall, it was a better Raw than last week, which is
it's hard to get any worse.
Yeah.
that pretty much does it for the shows. Now, just real quick to get it in, this week in wrestling history. All right, this week in wrestling history, in 1989, Ric Flair regains the NWA World Heavyweight title from Ricky Steamboat in Nashville, Tennessee. And that was Flair's 6th or 7th title reign. And really, the only reason it's noteworthy here is because that feud between those two guys at that time, they had feuded years earlier for the U.S. title and everything.
In the 70s.
Yeah. But that feud for the world title in 1989 produced 3 of the best matches I've ever seen in my life, still to this day. That trilogy, when Steamboat won it from him in Chicago, then they did the best out of 3 falls on Clash of the Champions, where Steamboat retained with a little bit of controversy because Flair's foot was under the rope, which led to the rematch in Nashville where Flair regains the title. Those 3 matches, that trilogy is, just phenomenal. I mean, still to this day, like I said, 3 of the best matches, in my opinion, ever.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen those matches, you have to check them out.
And that speaks a lot. That's a lot of years of wrestling they're going up against.
Yeah, a lot. And, I've been watching wrestling for 30 years. And there's been great matches before that, great matches since then.
But nothing ever quite like that.
It was just, and like I said, it's almost like, it's kind of like Star Wars. Like, you have to watch all 3 of them. You can't just watch one.
Yeah.
You can't just start with Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. You have to watch all 3 of them.
Telling a story.
Yeah. And, that's the history lesson for this week. If you haven't seen those 3 matches, check them out. You won't be sorry. But we're running out of time here. The T-shirt contest, we decided to let it go one more week because we're just flooded with entries.
Yeah.
So bear with us on that. We'll announce a winner next week on the show for sure. And that's it for Ace Larson. I'm Electric Eric Davidson. We'll see you next week.